The small screen can change everything. A face appears, a voice lands, and suddenly an era has its own heartbeat. Some stars dazzled once and disappeared. Others kept evolving, surprising us decade after decade. Tonight, we revisit performers whose talent stretched far beyond one famous role and whose presence still feels unmistakable after all these years. Before we begin, please leave a comment telling us where you're watching from and what time it is in your part of the world. I always love seeing how far these memories travel and who is sharing this moment together. Oprah Winfrey. Oprah Winfrey became world famous through The Oprah Winfrey Show, then expanded far beyond daytime television. She built an empire in producing, publishing, acting, and philanthropy, carrying wisdom, warmth, and extraordinary authority into every space she entered. Now 72, she remains deeply admired for her grace, influence, generosity, and the enduring power of a voice that changed television forever. Jeffrey Jones. Jeffrey Jones became widely recognized through Ferris Bueller's Day Off and Beetlejuice, where his distinctive screen presence made him hard to forget. He also worked across film, television, and stage, bringing sharp comic tension and theatrical intelligence to supporting roles. Now 79, he keeps a low public profile, and his legacy remains tied to memorable performances despite later controversy. Larry Hagman. Larry Hagman became unforgettable as J.R. Ewing on Dallas, creating one of television's most magnetic villains. He also charmed audiences in I Dream of Jeannie and brought wit, swagger, and command to both comedy and drama. He died in 2012 at 81, but his sly smile, authority, and primetime fire still make him an enduring television legend. Lisa Kudrow. Lisa Kudrow became beloved as Phoebe Buffay on Friends, turning eccentricity into something warm, clever, and completely human. Her career also expanded into writing, producing, film, and inventive television projects like The Comeback and Web Therapy. Now 62, she remains admired for her originality, comic intelligence, and the rare ability to make oddball humor feel graceful, smart, and emotionally real. Steve Carell. Steve Carell became a television icon through The Office, where Michael Scott could be awkward, infuriating, and unexpectedly touching. He also thrived in film, voice acting, producing, and dramatic work, proving his range far beyond pure comedy. Now 63, he is still respected for his versatility, discipline, quiet charm, and the way his performances keep deepening with time. Joan Collins. Joan Collins became a television sensation through Dynasty, where Alexis Carrington turned glamour into a weapon. Yet her career also stretched through film, theater, memoir writing, and decades of public performance shaped by polish and wit. Now 92, she remains strikingly visible, still admired for her elegance, intelligence, fearless screen command, and star power that never really fades. Marissa Tomei. Marissa Tomei became unforgettable through My Cousin Vinny, giving Mona Lisa Vito brilliance, humor, and irresistible spark. She also built a rich career across serious drama, comedy, theater, independent film, and mainstream studio work, always bringing intelligence and emotional agility. Now 61, she remains widely respected for her vitality, versatility, and the fresh magnetic energy she carries into every generation. Gary Sinise. Gary Sinise became deeply admired through Forrest Gump and CSI, NY, balancing strength, dignity, and emotional weight with unusual consistency. Beyond acting, he directed, helped build Steppenwolf Theater, performed with the Elton Dan Band, and devoted enormous energy to humanitarian work. Now 71, he is respected not only for his screen career, but for compassion, discipline, and lasting purpose. Martin Short. Martin Short became a comedy standout through SCTV and the Saturday Night Live, then kept reinventing himself with fearless character work and infectious stage energy. He also excelled in film, Broadway, live performance, and Only Murders in the Building, where his timing remains razor-sharp. Now 76, he is still beloved for his warmth, originality, elegance, and seemingly endless comic vitality. Jennifer Grey. Jennifer Grey became instantly recognizable through Dirty Dancing, where Baby brought vulnerability, heart, and star-making emotional force. She also left a lasting impression in Ferris Bueller's Day Off and built a career across film and television, marked by sincerity and charm. Now 66, she remains warmly remembered as one of the most iconic and relatable screen presences of her era. Patricia Heaton. Patricia Heaton became widely loved through Everybody Loves Raymond, where Deborah brought wit, warmth, and recognizable family frustration to every scene. She also expanded into producing, writing, film, and later television success with The Middle, proving her staying power. Now 68, she remains admired for grounded charm, comic precision, and a style of humor that feels effortless and enduring. Ed Asner. Ed Asner became legendary as Lou Grant on The Mary Tyler Moore Show and Lou Grant, shaping one of television's most commanding authority figures. He also worked across film, drama, voice acting, and union leadership, bringing grit, intelligence, and humanity to everything he touched. He died in 2021 at 91, but his force and integrity still define lasting television greatness. J.K. Simmons. J.K. Simmons became widely recognized through Whiplash, Spider-Man, and a long line of unforgettable supporting roles that carried unusual intensity. He also excelled in television, stage, voice acting, and commercial work, showing remarkable discipline and range. Now 71, he remains respected for his authority, precision, wit, and the quiet versatility that has made him one of America's most reliable performers. Linda Gray. Linda Gray became iconic as Sue Ellen Ewing on Dallas, giving primetime drama one of its most memorable and layered women. Her career also moved through modeling, directing, producing, theater, and film, revealing elegance and resilience far beyond one famous role. Now 85, she works selectively and is still admired for poise and a classic screen presence audiences never forgot. Mary Steenburgen. Mary Steenburgen became widely admired through Melvin and Howard, the Oscar-winning role that announced her emotional intelligence and radiant charm. She also flourished in comedy, drama, television, film, and songwriting, moving between tones with rare ease. Now 73, she remains beloved for warmth, versatility, and the gentle confidence that has kept her screen presence fresh across decades. Peter Falk. Peter Falk became unforgettable as Columbo, turning a rumpled coat, a glass eye, and a deceptively casual manner into television gold. He also built a strong film career and brought originality, intelligence, and warmth to both comedy and drama. He died in 2011 at 83, yet his sly brilliance still makes Columbo one of television's most enduring detectives. Ed O'Neill. Ed O'Neill became famous as Al Bundy on Married with Children, then won a new generation through Modern Family as Jay Pritchett. He also worked in film and stage, always bringing dry humor, toughness, and surprising heart beneath the surface. Now 80, he remains beloved for proving that gruff comic characters can still feel deeply human and unmistakably real. Pamela Sue Martin. Pamela Sue Martin became widely known as Fallon Carrington on Dynasty and earlier as Nancy Drew, blending confidence, beauty, and emotional sharpness with ease. She also worked in film, modeling, and later selective screen appearances, shaping a career rooted in classic television appeal. Now 73, she keeps a lower profile, but remains remembered as an elegant face of primetime drama. Ray Romano. Ray Romano became a household name through Everybody Loves Raymond, where his gentle frustration and deadpan timing turned family chaos into comfort television. He also built a lasting career in stand-up, producing, writing, voice acting, and later dramatic roles that widened his range. Now 68, he is still respected for warmth, wit, and a comic voice that feels instantly familiar. Carroll O'Connor. Carroll O'Connor became a television giant through All in the Family, where Archie Bunker changed what sitcom performance could do. He also brought depth to In the Heat of the Night and worked across film and drama with remarkable control. He died in 2001 at 76, but his intelligence and emotional force still leave an enduring mark on television history. Virginia Madsen. Virginia Madsen became widely admired through Sideways, the performance that revealed her elegance, emotional depth, and quiet screen authority. She also moved through horror, independent film, television, and producing, building a career shaped by intelligence and range rather than noise. Now 64, she remains respected for grace, versatility, and the thoughtful strength she brings to mature roles. James Garner. James Garner became a television favorite through Maverick and The Rockford Files, where charm and quiet toughness came together with effortless ease. He also built a major film career and brought warmth, wit, and natural humanity to both comedy and drama. He died in 2014 at 86, but his relaxed confidence still defines one of television's most beloved leading men. Deborah Jo Rupp. Deborah Jo Rupp became widely loved as Kitty Foreman on That 70s Show, turning maternal warmth and comic sparkle into something instantly comforting. She also worked in theater, film, voice acting, and later television, proving her appeal stretched well beyond one sitcom. Now 75, she remains admired for lovable energy, timing, and the kind of presence that brightens every ensemble. Jack Klugman. Jack Klugman became unforgettable as Oscar Madison on The Odd Couple, and later as Quincy on Quincy, M.E., giving television both comic messiness and moral seriousness. He also worked in theater, courtroom drama, and live television, always grounded by intelligence and lived in honesty. He died in 2012 at 90, yet his humanity still feels immediate, sturdy, and enduring. Barbara Feldon. Barbara Feldon became instantly recognizable as Agent 99 on Get Smart, bringing wit, cool intelligence, and polished charm to one of classic television's smartest heroines. She also worked in modeling, writing, theater, and memoir, showing depth beyond glamorous screen appeal. Now 93, she lives privately and is still remembered for elegance, originality, and a presence both graceful and sly. James Arness. James Arness became a television institution as Marshal Matt Dillon on Gunsmoke, where quiet strength and towering authority made him the standard for frontier heroism. He also worked in film and Western storytelling more broadly, but that role defined his legend. He died in 2011 at 88, and his steady courage still leaves an enduring imprint on American television history. Tony Danza. Tony Danza became widely known through Taxi and Who's the Boss, pairing street-smart swagger with sincere warmth in a way audiences instantly embraced. He also expanded into theater, music, hosting, film, and live entertainment, showing restless versatility and natural charisma. Now 74, he remains beloved for big-hearted charm, showmanship, and the lively screen energy that never deserted him. Don Adams. Don Adams became legendary as Maxwell Smart on Get Smart, making deadpan confusion, nasal confidence, and perfect timing into a comedy signature. He also worked as a director and voice actor, extending that unmistakable rhythm into other projects. He died in 2005 at 82, but his style remains beloved, instantly recognizable, and central to the spirit of classic television parody. Mia Sara. Mia Sara became unforgettable as Sloane Peterson in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, turning calm beauty and understated poise into lasting screen glamour. She also appeared in Legend, Time Cop, and television projects, balancing fantasy, action, and romantic mystique with ease. Now 58, she is still admired for elegance, soft charisma, and an enduring 1980s screen presence that longtime audiences cherish. Kurtwood Smith. Kurtwood Smith became widely recognized as Red Foreman on That 70s Show, where stern sarcasm concealed surprising heart and comic precision. He also built a long career in film, drama, stage, and voice acting, with memorable work ranging from RoboCop to animation. Now 82, he remains respected for authority, discipline, and a tough-edge versatility that has never gone stale. Stephanie Zimbalist. Stephanie Zimbalist became widely recognized as Laura Holt on Remington Steele, where intelligence, polish, and emotional composure made her one of the era's memorable television leads. She also worked in film, theater, television movies, and voice performance, showing artistic range beyond detective drama. Now 69, she remains admired for elegance, versatility, and a quietly enduring screen presence. Eugene Levy. Eugene Levy became beloved through SCTV, American Pie, and Schitt's Creek, where his understated humor gave warmth to even the driest line. He also wrote, produced, acted in film, and later charmed viewers through travel television, proving unusual longevity. Now 79, he is still admired for kindness, comic intelligence, and a wonderfully distinctive style that never feels forced. Brooke Adams. Brooke Adams became widely known through Invasion of the Body Snatchers, bringing calm intelligence and subtle emotional strength to one of film's great paranoid classics. She also built a long career in theater, television, and serious screen work shaped by restraint rather than flash. Now 77, she remains respected for grace, quiet versatility, and thoughtful artistic credibility across decades. Don Knotts. Don Knotts became unforgettable as Barney Fife on The Andy Griffith Show, turning nervous energy and comic panic into television magic. He also thrived in film comedies and family entertainment, always bringing originality, timing, and a deeply lovable humanity to his work. He died in 2006 at 81, but his hilariously anxious charm still feels timeless and completely irresistible. Robin Dearden. Robin Dearden became known through television appearances, including Magnum, P.I., where her classic Polish and approachable warmth made her instantly familiar. She also worked across dramas, guest roles, and later supporting parts tied to enduring television worlds. Now 72, she keeps a lower profile, but remains remembered as a dependable, graceful presence from network television's comfort era. Andy Griffith. Andy Griffith became a television treasure through The Andy Griffith Show, and later Matlock, creating characters defined by calm authority and homespun wisdom. He also worked in music, Broadway, film, and comedy, revealing far more range than his easygoing image suggested. He died in 2012 at 86, yet his warmth still feels like one of television's safest, steadiest homes. Alice Beasley. Alice Beasley became instantly memorable as Agnes DePesto on Moonlighting, where quirky rhythm and comic originality made her impossible to ignore. She also worked in voice acting, film, stage, and comedy, proving that offbeat performers can leave the strongest impressions. Now 74, she is still fondly remembered for warmth, individuality, and the wonderfully unusual spark she brought to television. Bea Arthur. Bea Arthur became legendary through Maude in The Golden Girls, where sharp timing and fearless authority made her one of television's boldest women. She also built a major stage career and brought musicality, wit, and command to every performance. She died in 2009 at 86, but her strength, intelligence, and unmistakable voice still echo through generations of comedy. Sandahl Bergman. Sandahl Bergman became unforgettable as Valeria in Conan the Barbarian, combining beauty, physical power, and athletic control in a role that still stands out. She also worked in dance, Broadway, film, and stunt-heavy performance, building a career shaped by discipline and striking presence. Now 74, she is remembered for strength, elegance, and a trailblazing action fantasy image. Florence Henderson. Florence Henderson became beloved as Carol Brady on The Brady Bunch, bringing maternal warmth, steadiness, and sunny reassurance to one of television's most recognizable families. She also worked on Broadway, in music, hosting, and variety television, showing broad entertainment instincts beyond sitcom life. She died in 2016 at 82, but her gentle grace still feels warmly familiar. Patty McCormack. Patty McCormack became famous through The Bad Seed, first on Broadway and then on film, where her chilling poise made her one of the most unforgettable child performers of her era. She also sustained a remarkably long career across theater, television, and film. Now 80, she remains respected for discipline, intelligence, and extraordinary professional longevity. Valerie Harper. Valerie Harper became beloved as Rhoda Morgenstern on The Mary Tyler Moore Show and Rhoda, turning wit and vulnerability into one of television's brightest personalities. She also worked in dance, theater, film, and television, carrying sparkle into every medium. She died in 2019 at 80, but her humor, warmth, and spirit remain deeply admired. Edie McClurg. Edie McClurg became instantly recognizable through Ferris Bueller's Day Off and a long run of scene-stealing comic roles that made her voice and timing unforgettable. She also thrived in improvisation, television, and animation, including major voice work in family films. Now 80, she is fondly remembered for originality, warmth, and a quirky comic presence unlike anyone else. Sherman Hemsley. Sherman Hemsley became legendary as George Jefferson on All in the Family and The Jeffersons, where swagger, ambition, and comic force made him a cultural landmark. He also starred in Amen and voiced memorable animated characters, showing lasting range in television comedy. He died in 2012 at 74, but his bold energy still feels instantly alive. Catherine Russoff. Catherine Russoff became known through television appearances on series like Married, With Children, and Highway to Heaven, bringing a polished, easy-screen presence to classic network television. Her career centered mainly on television work and steady supporting roles rather than celebrity spotlight. Now in her early 70s, she keeps a low profile and is remembered with affection. Phil Silvers. Phil Silvers became a comedy institution through Sergeant Ernie Bilko on The Phil Silvers Show, where speed, mischief, and verbal brilliance changed the rhythm of television humor. He also conquered stage, film, and musical comedy, revealing showmanship on every level. He died in 1985 at 74, yet his influence still runs through generations of comic performers. Blake Clark. Blake Clark became widely recognized through Adam Sandler comedies, Boy Meets World, and later as the voice of Slinky Dog in Toy Story. He also built a career in stand-up, radio, television, and family entertainment, always bringing rough-edged warmth and natural humor. Now 80, he remains appreciated for heart, versatility, and his instantly likable comic style. Tony Randall. Tony Randall became unforgettable as Felix Unger on The Odd Couple, giving fussiness, refinement, and comic anxiety a wonderfully precise rhythm. He also worked in film, theater, directing, producing, and music, showing intelligence and sophistication far beyond one sitcom. He died in 2004 at 84, but his polished wit and theatrical grace remain enduringly admired. John James. John James became widely known as Jeff Colby on Dynasty and the Colbys, where classic leading man confidence and primetime polish made him a familiar face of 1980s television. He also worked in film, producing, and other screen projects, extending that suave image across decades. Now 69, he remains remembered for charm, screen presence, and soap-era glamour. Danny Thomas. Danny Thomas became a television pioneer through Make Room for Daddy, shaping one of the foundational family sitcoms of early American TV. He also worked as a producer, nightclub entertainer, and philanthropist, most famously helping establish St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. He died in 1991 at 79, but his warmth, generosity, and legacy remain truly lasting. Brad Hall. Brad Hall became known through Saturday Night Live, where his dry wit and offbeat timing helped define an early chapter of the show. He also built a long career in writing, producing, directing, and filmmaking, shaping comedy from behind the scenes. Now 67, he is respected for intelligence, versatility, and a quiet influence that reaches far beyond the spotlight. Jamie Farr. Jamie Farr became beloved as Corporal Maxwell Q. Klinger on MASH, turning eccentric comedy into something warm, loyal, and deeply human. He also worked in film, game shows, live performance, and television guest roles, building a career on charm and recognizable humor. Now 91, he keeps a low profile but remains treasured as one of classic television's great scene stealers. Jack Scalia. Jack Scalia became widely recognized through Dallas, Remington Steele, and a run of primetime roles that highlighted his rugged charm and leading man appeal. He also worked in modeling, producing, and television movies, extending his screen presence beyond one series. Now 75, he appears to live more privately, but he is still remembered for confidence, toughness, and classic television charisma. Dennis Dugan. Dennis Dugan became known first as an actor, then gained even wider success directing hit comedies like Happy Gilmore, Big Daddy, and Grown Ups. He also worked as a comedian, television performer, and filmmaker, proving his versatility on both sides of the camera. Now 79, he remains respected for energy, timing, and a lasting contribution to mainstream screen comedy. Julian Glover. Julian Glover became widely admired through major roles in Star Wars, Indiana Jones, James Bond, and Game of Thrones, bringing authority and intelligence to each appearance. He also built a distinguished classical stage career with the Royal Shakespeare Company and beyond. Now 91, he works selectively and is still respected for elegance, range, and commanding screen and stage presence. Joe Grafasi. Joe Grafasi became familiar through dependable supporting roles in films like The Deer Hunter and other respected ensemble dramas. He also worked steadily in theater, television, and character-driven screen performances, earning admiration through craft rather than flash. Now 81, he keeps a lower profile but remains respected for intelligence, steadiness, and the rare ability to strengthen every story he enters. Frank Collison. Frank Collison became widely remembered as Horace Bing on Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, where his eccentric charm made a lasting impression. He also built a long career in film, television, theater, and voice work, always bringing individuality and commitment to supporting roles. Now 76, he appears to remain active and is still admired for range, warmth, and distinctive character actor skill. Robert Wuhl. Robert Wuhl became widely recognized through Batman, Bull Durham, and especially Arliss, where sharp satire and comic intelligence shaped his signature style. He also worked as a stand-up comedian, writer, creator, and television personality, showing equal strength on stage and on the page. Now 74, he remains respected for wit, originality, and a smart comedic voice that still feels distinctive. Anthony DeLonghi. Anthony DeLonghi became known as a skilled screenfighter, actor, and weapons expert whose work brought precision and danger to action storytelling. He also built a respected career in stunt performance, choreography, movement training, and combat design for film and television. Now 76, he remains admired for discipline, strength, originality, and distinctive behind-the-scenes influence on action performance. Ben Stein. Ben Stein became instantly recognizable through Ferris Bueller's Day Off, where one deadpan classroom scene turned him into a pop culture fixture. He also worked as a writer, lawyer, commentator, game show host, and screen performer, building an unusually varied public life. Now 81, he remains remembered for intelligence, originality, dry wit, and a screen persona no one could mistake. Alan Young. Alan Young became beloved as Wilbur Post on Mr. Ed, giving baffled patience and wholesome warmth to one of television's strangest, sweetest comedies. He also worked in radio, writing, family entertainment, and voice acting, most famously as Scrooge McDuck. He died in 2016 at 96, but his gentle humor and cozy charm remain enduringly treasured. Gavin MacLeod. Gavin MacLeod became widely loved through The Mary Tyler Moore Show and The Love Boat, where reassurance, friendliness, and easy authority made him feel instantly familiar. He also worked in film, writing, television, and later inspirational speaking, extending his public life beyond acting. He died in 2021 at 90, but his kindness and comforting presence remain warmly remembered. Lauren Chapin. Lauren Chapin became unforgettable as Kathy on Father Knows Best, where bright spirit and childlike mischief made her one of classic family television's most recognizable young faces. She also later wrote, spoke publicly, and remained connected to nostalgia audiences who never forgot her early work. She died in 2026 at 80, but her warmth still lives on. Paul Reiser. Paul Reiser became widely admired through Mad About You, where conversational wit and emotional intelligence made him one of television's most relatable comic leads. He also built a strong career in stand-up, film, writing, producing, and later dramatic television, proving lasting versatility. Now 70, he remains respected for warmth, sharp observation, and a voice that still feels effortless. Some stars never truly leave. They stay in a voice, a look, a laugh, and the comfort of remembered evenings. If one of these names brought back a real memory, share it below, and join us again for more timeless television moments.